first of all, welcome to our new indoor studio that we are quite excited about. Still needs a few upgrades, but it's getting there and we're really happy with it. And for our first recipe, we are making picadillo con papas. We start with the meat. We have 2 kilos of minced beef, coarse ground. We're not making sausages here. And for this, we want to go in with a little bit of oil because we do have fat content, but we still want some oil in our pan. This is preheated. I'll crank it up a little bit. And then we're going to do it in batches. We don't want this to start boiling. We want it to really get some charring, some browning for this recipe. We're not making bolognese or anything like that, so relatively small batches depending on the size of your pot.
We want some good color there.
Exactly. We want browning. So in with your spatula and break it up. But allow it to get some browning. Press it down. And then let it brown a little bit before we chop it up in smaller pieces. And when we start getting those kind of brown bits, now I don't see if you can see it for the steam, but that kind of browning, you don't want to go too far. You don't want to brown all of it, but you want char bits around. You don't want to let it dry out either. So first batch comes out, and then I'll continue with the rest. So I'll show you the next steps afterwards. So see you in a couple of minutes. Last batch is out. What I forgot to mention is that when you're breaking it down, give it a pinch of salt so you pre-season. It also helps the browning of the meat. And as you saw, I didn't break it down into very fine chunks. You don't want this to be, as I said, like bolognese. So now we continue with our onions, so a little bit more oil. And you see all that beautiful fond we have there? We're going to lift that up. That's going to be a lot of flavor. 3 medium-sized onions, relatively coarse chop. Now we're going to let them saute a little bit, but we don't want them to brown. We just want to soften them up a little bit. So we start with these just for a couple of minutes, maybe something like that, not more. And when the onions, they start to get a little bit translucent in the corners, then we want to go in with our peppers. And here I have Florino peppers, also in a coarse chop like the onion. They carry a little bit of heat. It's not like jalapenos, but it carries a little bit of heat. So somewhere between bell peppers and jalapenos. They're very, very aromatic. I love these peppers. And they're perfect for this actually. We are using both green and red because we would like to get some color on our dish. And I want these to soften up a little bit here together with the garlic. With the onion, of course. I was thinking ahead. Just stop doing that.
Garlic is coming up.
Yeah, no, of course. See you too. And as you see here, the fond is not lifting with the liquid from the onion, so I'm going to give it a little bit of white wine or fortified white wine, in this case, vermouth. And then that will boil up and lift up the fond. It will not give much flavor actually, but it will lift up the fond for me, and I want that.
That will give flavor.
That will give flavor, exactly. And now our peppers, they have started to soften up ever so slightly. You don't want to take them too far because when we're finished here, you want still to have some crunch in your peppers. Then we clear a spot in the middle. Nice big spot. You have room for things here. And you see how nicely it cleared? All the fond is now in making flavor. First up, 3 cloves of minced garlic goes over here to start cooking a little bit. Then we're going in with a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste, which you also want to let fry a little bit. That's important actually. Always remember that. And we're going in with smoked paprika, same story. There's 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika actually, which is probably not ultra traditional, but my kitchen, my rules. And we don't want to toast, the cumin actually, I want to toast also. That's 1.5 tablespoons of cumin. And then we're going to let that toast a little bit, break down the tomato paste, flip around the garlic a little bit so they don't burn on the bottom. And then as they start frying, you start mixing them all together. It changes a lot, the spices, if you fry them up before, or if you just pour them in when it's boiling later, you won't get nearly the same effect.
No, but the whole kitchen now smells of cumin and paprika.
No, it smells fantastic already. It's going to be good, that's for sure. So, when all of this is nice and mixed in, with all those beautiful flavors here. This is like, wow, this is going to be good. Now we want to introduce our liquid component to this before we add the rest of the spices. I'm going in with, what is that, a little bit more than a cup, 300 milliliter of beef stock, not broth. If you were using broth, you would use more, but you want this to have sauce. Depending how you want to serve it, you can adjust your liquid level, because if you want to serve this in tacos, then you want it to be on the drier side. If you want to serve it in a bowl, just eat it straight up like you would a chili, for instance, you would want it, in my opinion, a little bit more saucy. So we are going in with 3 cans of chopped tomatoes. That's what, 1.2 kilos, something like that, I think. I'm gonna mix all that in. Nice and beautiful. It's gonna be a great mixture here. And 1 tablespoon of freshly cracked black pepper. Did that off camera, not to disturb you with that. 3 tablespoons of good oregano. That is important. If you can get Mexican oregano, do that, because it's a little bit sweeter than the Mediterranean oregano. But otherwise, regular oregano.
Use what you have.
Just fine. This is extremely aromatic, this one. And then untraditionally again, we are going to throw in a stick of cinnamon, just like that. And then we're going to reintroduce our meat. All of our nicely browned meat. Get all the liquids from the pot with you. And then we stir all this in. And then we bring it to a simmer. And then we're going to introduce the last couple of components to this. And now this is up to a nice simmer. And actually we added half a liter of water because we wanted it a little bit more liquidish for what we wanted to serve. Again, if it was for tacos, you wouldn't do that, but that's what it is. Last little things here, almost, because there will come something at the end also. We need some kind of hot sauce, but we are going to go with ají amarillo paste because I just love the flavor of that, because we want a little bit of heat. You could go with cholula or whatever it's called. So 3 tablespoons of this. That will give nice flavor. I love ají amarillo. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. Get that in. And at the same time, I want to give it, let's say, a couple of pinches of salt. I don't want to over-salt it at this point because we will taste it and adjust it at the end, but get some salt in there to help the flavors combine. And now it's time for our potatoes.
Our papas.
Papas. I have a lot of cubed potatoes. I'm not sure I'm going to need all of them. I'll see how much I'm going to put. If I have any left over, I'll simply fry them up for my nephew. Maybe I will have all of them. Let me take 2/3 and get them stirred in and see how this is going to go. You think I should take them all?
If they fit.
Well, they definitely fit, and it is con papas. So, no, we're going to go in with all of them. That was 3 large. You could use Yukon Gold, whatever. They hold up nicely, the shape. Like these are local here from the area we live in, and they're really good for frying or stews and stuff like that, because like Yukon Gold, they hold up nicely their shape and texture. And make sure everything is nice and mixed and at a nice simmer. That's it. And now we're gonna cover this up and let it simmer for 20 minutes, and then we're gonna check the potatoes. Well, that took a little bit longer than expected, but that's because we had big chunks of potato. Because if you were serving this for, as I said 3 times now, tacos, you would make small cubes, but now these are big ones. But now they're there, 45, was it 50 minutes almost?
50, almost an hour, I would say, yeah.
But now they're there, they are fork tender to perfection. See, they break like, that's what you want to see. So they're perfect. Now we're gonna kill the heat, and then I'm gonna do a taste test so we see where we are with the salt. Ooh, this looks so good. I'm not revealing anything yet, so.
Yeah. You need some salt?
Pinch of salt or 2.
Okay.
And then we're gonna need a little bit of lime juice.
That always brings up the flavors.
No, it does, and then it lifts it up a little bit because it's kind of heavy flavors. So definitely 2 limes I'm gonna put in.
For sure.
Like that. Get one more.
They are so aromatic.
Smells fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a good thing with the indoor studio. Now we can actually smell even more than what we used to in our outdoor kitchens.
Exactly, exactly.
That's a benefit. We are learning.
Always.
And last but not least, we are gonna add 250, 300 grams of sweet corn. But I'm not adding these while it's boiling. I'm adding them at the end. And then I'm just gonna stir them in and let them warm up because I don't want them to cook. They become, in my opinion, nothing. You just want to stir them in and then let them warm up with the residual heat of the stew. And basically, our picadillo is ready. Now it's just a question of cooling down 15, 20 minutes, then we plate it up. She's gonna shoot a thumbnail and then it's taste test. It's looking good and it's smelling fantastic. So, let me get a piece of potato and a good chunk. That's what you want, all of it. Meat, sauce, potato, the whole thing. That is. I am a food genius. This is bloody amazing. Pardon my French, but fantastic picadillo con papas. It's fantastic. I cannot say anything less. It's just try it, make it. You will cry a little bit. It's perfect.